My name is Julian, and when my girlfriend said meeting her parents over dinner was important to her, that was enough for me. When someone cared about asks for something like that, the right answer isn't complicated. You show up. I pictured a simple evening polite talk, a little awkwardness, maybe a dad joke or two. Instead, I sat through a dinner where my girlfriend laughed and trashed me in Spanish right in front of me. Sure, I didn't understand a syllable. She didn't know I caught every word. By the end of the night, I gave her a surprise that took the air out of the room. When I met Camila, I had just started at a mid-sized pharmaceutical company. Entry level, nothing glamorous internal documentation, shipping logs, basic reporting. It paid okay, and the ladder above me wasn't imaginary. One ordinary afternoon, buried under forms, the door opened, and in came a delivery from my supervisor's small padded envelope, signature required. He was out. I was covering. I barely looked up until the courier's voice cut the quiet. She had this professional, no-nonsense energy, all straight lines and clipped sentences, like someone who doesn't have time for fluff. Something about that made me want to get her to laugh. "Careful," I told her, while I signed. "This is the most exciting stop on your route. Savor the chaos." It wasn't a great joke. She still smiled. Over the next few weeks, whenever she had a drop for our floor, she didn't just hand it off and vanish. She lingered. First it was work questions. Then it was questions about me, nothing heavy, just enough to notice. At some point, we stopped pretending the conversation was really about padded envelopes. Camila had this warm, earthy pull, no performative sparkle, just a quiet gravity that made rooms feel better with her in them. I'd been single. No messy entanglements, no fallout to clean up. For the first time in a while, someone genuinely interesting was right there. She seemed to see something in me, too. No need to overcomplicate it. One afternoon, she dropped by, checked a label, then turned to go. "What's the plan tonight?" I asked, trying to sound casual. She didn't bite with something coy. She grinned and said, "Sleep. Just sleep." It made both of us laugh. The tension, if there was any, broke clean. There was my window. "I've got a better plan," I said. "New place, a friend won't shut up about good food. Quiet vibe. You'd like it." She looked at me for a beat measuring seriousness, not searching for a line. Then she nodded. "All right." I got her number. That night we were across a small table under warm lighting that made silverware look expensive. The place lived up to the hype, trendy enough to feel special, not loud enough to make you shout to be heard. We talked for hours. Music, food, recent reads. Whatever small things matter because of who's sitting across from you. The night ended the way you hope it will. We kept the line warm after that. Texts that made the middle of the day better. Calls that stretched. A few more dates, and the thing was obvious. I stopped dancing around it at a neighborhood cafe. "Be my girlfriend?" I asked, eyes on her, not my coffee. She smiled and said yes. I left like I was holding a lottery ticket only I knew was real. For the first 3 years, we were good. No whirlwind, no fairy tale montage, just two people who seemed to get each other. Weekend trips, dumb shows, late night talks where the point wasn't the topic, but the person listening. She got along with my friends. I learned to live with her odd habits, and even started liking some of them. We argued sometimes. Sure, never about anything that felt like it would split the floor. Then her younger sister got married, and the ground under us shifted a few degrees. Camila started bringing up marriage jokes at first. "When it's our turn," said with a grin. The jokes turned into questions without punchlines. She talked more about her parents' expectations, about how in her culture it isn't just two people family stands behind you pushing or pulling. I respected it. Her family is tight and traditional. That pressure isn't a weight you choose to carry. I also wasn't ready to propose yet. Not because I didn't want to, I did. But I'd promised myself I wouldn't walk into a marriage scrambling. A promotion was close, real close. With it came a salary that could actually carry the kind of celebration Camila dreamed out loud about. So I asked for patience. I told her the ladder was one rung away. that I just needed a little time. She said she understood. The rhythm changed anyway. She took hours to text back. Sometimes she didn't. Her voice got colder on calls, like she'd parked her heart somewhere else for the day. When I brought it up, she brushed it away like a fly. Then came the message. "Hey, are you free this weekend? My parents want to meet you." I stared at the screen longer than the sentence deserved. We were serious, sure, but meeting parents is a step that feels different in your bones. I wasn't ready. I typed an excuse and deleted it. "Really?" Her next text came fast. What could be more important than meeting my parents? She wasn't wrong. I wasn't busy. I called to explain nerves without looking like a child. "Look, if we're serious," she said, "this isn't up for debate." She had a point. We'd argued over small things lately. I wasn't adding fuel to that stack. "Yes," I said. "I'm in." Her tone lightened instantly. "Great. They're going to love you." I felt better, because she sounded sure. I also decided to show up like it mattered. I bought a good bottle of wine, the kind you choose after Googling it for 10 minutes in the aisle. Dark jeans, blazer, shoes that didn't need to be broken in again. I skimmed a refresher on dinner etiquette because why not? Saturday, I looked like I was headed to an interview. In a way, I was. I drove with the wine buckled in the passenger seat, sat in the car for a second to breathe, told myself, be yourself, be respectful, don't try so hard you disappear. The door opened on warmth. Her parents smiled the way people do when they want the night to go well. Her dad's handshake had the exact right pressure. Her mom's welcome felt practiced in a way that was still kind. Camilla and her mother disappeared to the kitchen for just a minute. Her dad offered me a seat and a drink. He asked about my job questions that were friendly enough, with an edge you only catch if you're listening. I answered calmly, not selling hard, just honest. The call to dinner came. We filed into a dining room that looked like someone took a photo named Family Table and printed it in real life. Food smelled like time spent. I thanked God under my breath for a table I was allowed to sit at. The first stretch of the meal went fine. Her dad kept a gentle interrogation going about work and goals. I kept pace. Then something shifted. Her mom said a line in Spanish. The whole table except me laughed. I speak Spanish. I didn't let that show. I kept my eyes on my plate and my face arranged in, I didn't catch that. What she said wasn't a joke, not to me. My entry-level job would never be enough to take care of anyone, least of all their daughter. The laughter wasn't friendly. Her father added, in Spanish, that of all the men Camilla had brought home, I looked like I had the least ambition. That one cut deeper than I cared to admit. Then Camilla joined in. She told them she was managing me, said she brought me so they could see where she was before she found someone better. I won't forget that sentence. My face stayed calm, my stomach folded into itself. Her mother looked at me, still in Spanish, and asked if they were sure I couldn't understand. Camilla laughed. "He's too stupid to even know what we're talking about," she said. Then her mother switched to English, with a smile like nothing had been said. "Are you enjoying the food, Julian?" I met her eyes and smiled back. "Yes, ma'am," I said. "It's really delicious." "Thank you." It was true. Dinner was good. Everything else at that table tasted like metal. Dessert plates scraped clean, small talk thinned. I stood, looked at each of them, and thanked her parents for their hospitality. In Spanish, clear, deliberate, just loud enough to reach the edges of the room. The stillness that followed was immediate. Her father stiffened like someone pulled a wire. Her mother blinked like she'd lost a step. Camilla's smile fell off her face like it had been taped there. I told them in Spanish that I had understood everything said all evening. Every insult, every condescending joke, every remark they assumed looped over my head. Then I picked up my coat, nodded politely, walked out, and drove home. I had never told Camilla that I'd studied Spanish for 4 years in high school. I wasn't fluent, not even close, but I understood enough. I couldn't carry a fast conversation beautifully, but I knew the words, the tones, the slant of a sentence meant to cut. All week, I'd even practiced one line because I wanted to make a good impression. Gracias por recibirme. By the time I slid my keys onto the counter at home, my phone was a block of missed calls. Texts stacked under them, panic, guilt, an attempt at making the problem the fact that I hadn't told her I understood Spanish. Like that was the betrayal. Not her laugh. Not her permission for her parents to chew me up for sport. I stared at the screen and put the phone face down. I didn't block her. I didn't respond. Silence says more than the words people try to talk over. Sunday morning, I lay on the couch with a documentary I wasn't really watching playing to fill space. No calls out. No texts sent. I figured the quiet would say everything. The knock at the door told me my plan had a visitor. I knew it was her before I stood up. Camila looked pissed, tired, and confused all at once. "Why are you ignoring me?" she asked, as if we were mid-argument I'd walked out of. "I don't owe you anything," I said, flat. That wasn't bravado, it was a boundary. Whatever I thought we were building ended at their table. She tried to paint it as a harmless joke. I was too serious. She didn't mean it. Meaning didn't matter. There are words you don't put on the table when the person you claim to love is sitting at it. There are lines you don't cross. She stepped forward to come in. I didn't move. "You're not welcome here," I said. She blinked like someone had moved the horizon. I closed the door. The lock sounded louder than it was. The messages came harder after that. Calls, texts, voice notes. "You're overreacting. Can we talk?" Then the switch guilt trips. Insults. Blame. Me being too sensitive. Then too cold. I watched the noise build until I realized I didn't have to. I blocked her phone, social, every channel so I could breathe. Walking away wasn't easy. It hurt. There had been good days that made me believe in what we had. But when people show you who they are when they think you're not listening, you believe them. Respect doesn't come back once it leaves. So I ended it. The days that followed were heavy in the way the air gets before a storm breaks. I wondered if I'd missed signs, if I could have said something different sooner. Sometimes people wear masks so well, you don't see the edges until they slip in the wrong light. Accepting that wasn't self-pity. It was a way forward. I turned inward on purpose. Focused on work, on goals I'd pushed back, on my health, on small things I'd been too busy to notice. I read books I'd been stacking without opening. I called friends I missed without admitting it. I didn't rush to fill the space she left. I sat with it until it felt like mine. Then I started building something inside it. I'm not going to pretend I'm fine like nothing happened. Healing respects its own clock. I'm going to say I didn't let that night define me. I didn't swing low. I stood up for myself quietly and walked away with whatever dignity was left. One day, I'll meet someone who sees me all the way through without needing to make me small to feel big. Until then, I'm more than okay alone. My voice sounds clearer when it doesn't have to shout over anyone else's noise. If there's one thing I took from all of it, it's the simplest lesson said the hardest way. Self-respect isn't negotiable. No matter how much you care for someone, care for yourself more. That dinner might have ended a relationship. For me, it started something better. A life that's honest, peaceful, and mine.